Good evening. I'm YAMO. Tonight's report examines a principle drawn in the sand more than 14 centuries ago. A boundary not of war, but of coexistence. A doctrine of peaceful difference that has shaped societies, legal systems, and political thought across history. This story begins in 7th century Mecca. As the Prophet Muhammad preached monotheism, the ruling Quraysh elite faced an economic and social threat. Their authority depended on the idol trade surrounding the Kaaba. Seeking to preserve their order, they proposed what appeared to be a compromise. Worship one god for a year, then return to idol worship the next. It was not reconciliation. It was an attempt to blend truth with falsehood and neutralize a transformative message. In response, the Qur'an revealed Surah Al-Kafirun, 109 to 1 to 6, a short chapter that established a permanent boundary. I do not worship what you worship. For you is your religion, and for me is mine. This was not a call to conflict. It was the articulation of peaceful disengagement. The right to live within the same society while remaining fundamentally different in belief. This Meccan principle soon became a lived legal framework. In 637 CE, when Umar ibn al-Khattab entered Jerusalem, he did not arrive as a forced converter. Instead, he issued what became known as the Assurance of Umar, recorded in Tariq al-Tabari, guaranteeing protection of churches, property, and religious freedom. It reflected the Quranic principle found in Surah Al-Baqarah 2-256. There is no compulsion in religion. Faith could not be coerced. Community stability required protection of difference. The contrast appears stark in later history. When Crusader forces captured Jerusalem in 1099, the eyewitness chronicle of Fulcher of Chartres described widespread slaughter of Muslims and Jews in the city. Nearly a century later, when Saladin retook Jerusalem in 1187, he did not replicate the massacre. Contemporary accounts and later historians, including Stanley Lane Poole, record that civilians were spared, ransoms were permitted, and Christian pilgrimage continued. The principle endured. Sovereignty, without forced uniformity. Centuries later, under the Ottoman Empire, pluralism became administrative policy through the Millet system, allowing religious communities legal autonomy in personal law, worship, and education. Historian Stanford J. Shaw documents this as a structured model of multi-faith governance. Meanwhile, European colonial expansion developed a different narrative framework, often described as a civilizing mission, used to justify political and economic control. In Orientalism 1978, Edward Said argued that portraying the Muslim world as backward or threatening helped legitimize imperial intervention and resource extraction. The framing was strategic. Power often requires a story. Yet another perspective emerges from Thomas Walker Arnold in The Preaching of Islam, which documents that Islam's expansion frequently occurred through trade networks, social integration, and voluntary adoption rather than forced conversion. This aligns with the principle first articulated in Mecca: coexistence without doctrinal compromise. What this 1,400-year arc reveals is not a simple clash of civilizations, but a recurring tension between two approaches to order, one rooted in managed pluralism, the other in uniformity as a condition of stability. History shows both systems in action, and history shows the consequences when difference is protected and when it is suppressed. The line in the sand was never meant to divide humanity. It was meant to allow humanity to live side by side without erasing conviction, identity, or conscience. For History Watch, I'm YAMO. Good night.